All right, welcome into Stadium in Maine with Big Worm and Strack. I am Jordan Strack. That is Chris Wormley. It is episode 6. We are partnered with Blue by 90. We have new episodes coming out every single Tuesday during the football season. Today, whenever you're watching or listening to this, not great. Okay, things aren't great right now. But listen, the sun did come up on Sunday, and there is still more football to be played. I think we've got a lot to get to tonight. Obviously, we are going to have Jake Butt joining the show, former Michigan tight end and Big Ten Network analyst. He will join us here in just a little bit. First, though, Worm, we have been talking the last couple days. I said during the fourth quarter of that game, thank God I have 48 hours to cool off before taping this, because I probably would have said some things that I regret if we would have done like an instant reaction to the game on Saturday night. But here we are. We've had some time to cool off. It was not great on Saturday.
No, not great. From what we saw at the Oklahoma game to the last 2 weeks to the bye week, it didn't get. I thought we'd see some improvement. Big road game, big good competition, Big Ten, action. But this was probably their worst loss. This definitely was their worst loss of the season, worst performance of the season. Nothing really was going well. I mean, obviously, maybe Andrew Marsh's performance was the only bright spot of the day, but I thought it was pretty atrocious, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's just look at some of the numbers. Obviously, a 31-13 loss. Michigan gave up 489 yards. They gave up an average of 7.2 yards per play. USC was 6 of 12 on third downs. And Michigan averaged, and this is, listen, I know this is a little thing that probably most people don't even, not paying attention to, whatever, but you're averaging only 36.5 yards per punt. That played a big factor in the game. Not good enough. So let's start with just kind of what went wrong. In your mind, what was the biggest issue on Saturday?
Offensively, the offensive line, I thought, played their worst game. It didn't seem like they were in sync on any level. I thought with El Hadi coming back, maybe there was there was going to be some more, blowing up of that offensive line, and it seemed like it got worse. I don't know if he's fully healthy yet or what that issue was, but I thought across the line, it was pretty abysmal when it comes to blocking for Bryce, blocking for the running backs. It just didn't look well on the offensive side of the ball from the offensive line perspective. From the defensive side of the ball, definitely their worst performance of the year. I thought they couldn't tackle to save their lives. There was multiple plays where you look and just make the tackle, get off the field, just make the tackle, live for a third and medium, third and short, and it just they couldn't tackle. And that's something that I know that Wink harps on constantly. I know that's something that they've generally have been pretty good at over the last 3 or 4 years, has been tackling, getting guys at the ground. And then you talk about the hidden yardage in the punt game. And that was something that people, the casual fans not looking at, but if you can swing the field, even if you go 3 and out or your offense is stalling a little bit, that can put your defense in a pretty good, position. And I thought all 3 phases of the game, when you talk about offense, defense, and then punting, it was pretty bad.
So I tweeted out on Saturday, and I said it felt like a very unprepared football team. And I don't say that lightly. It just felt like, game plan wise, from the very beginning, it felt very disjointed. It never felt like everybody was totally on the same page. And from a defensive standpoint, it starts on the very first drive once again. Let's start there. What in your mind is the biggest reason for the slow starts, and how do you fix it? I understand scripted drives or whatever, but this has become a thing now. These first drives, Michigan is getting gashed, and it's setting a tone for a football game where you're having to come back every single week now.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks are, first drive's unacceptable. With Wisconsin, it was they kind of ran the ball down the field, scored a touchdown. This week with Lincoln Riley's kind of offensive mindset, he was wheeling and dealing, passing the ball, throwing it all over the field with their quarterback and their receivers, and you kind of wonder, like, why is this defense off to a sluggish start? Because beforehand they were Michigan leans on that defense to make the splash plays, to hold the offense accountable when things aren't going well, and kind of hold down the fort until the offense picks things up. And we didn't see that especially yet last week, but these last 2 weeks they've gotten off to a really slow start, and it's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to see the strength of your team, or what you think is the strength of your team, struggle those first 15, 20 plays of a game.
I think it's one thing if you're in position and you're just not making tackles, and stuff happens, obviously. It feels like a combination right now, schematically, but also it feels like guys are in position and just not making plays. The 3rd and 22, 3rd and 26, whatever it was, that to me was my breaking point in the game. It totally unacceptable, cannot happen. You have a chance to get off the field and it doesn't happen. In your mind, is this and I think I know you are the resident Wink Martindale defender, so I think I know where you're going on this. Is this guys are in position not making tackles, or, I mean, to be fair, they're playing off 10, 15 yards, and USC was very happy to take that short, quick game, and you can't even get your pass rushers to the quarterback. In your mind, which one is it?
I mean, probably both. I'm going to say both this game. When you look at the film, when you watch, and you're like, okay, why are these DBs, like you said, 10, 12 yards off? When, if I'm a quarterback, I don't know anything about being a quarterback, but if I'm a quarterback, I'm taking what I can get. And if that's 10 yards, that's a first down every play. But when you look at that 3rd and 22 and guys just not getting to that's a slap in the face. That's disrespectful. Basically, USC was giving up that possession. It's 3rd and 22. Let's just run the ball. Let's not create a turnover trying to pass the ball and make a big play. Let's get off the field. And Michigan gave them extra life, gave them another possession, gave them another 3 downs. And that's frustrating when you, especially as a D lineman, when they can just kind of run through you like that. It's a slap in the face. And so when am I a Wink, Stan or whatever you call them? Yes, I am. I love Wink. I love, personally what he did for my career, but also I know the type of guy he is when it comes to defensive mindedness. But yeah, this game, I know he's scratching his head trying to figure out what he can do to get better. But also the players, I thought this was their worst tackling game of the season, and it showed on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise to me, I did not anticipate Michigan getting pushed around the way they did, and they did on both lines, offensive and defensive line. They both got pushed around. I did not see that coming. I just didn't. Was that a surprise to you, the way that they were bullied a little bit?
Yeah, usually when it's, I still think of, UCLA, USC, Washington, those type of teams as Pac-10, Pac-12 teams. And it only took them really a year to kind of transition to the Big Ten ball. They were big, they were physical, they got after both lines of scrimmage, which is usually Michigan's kind of forte. That's the Big Ten mentality, and USC is kind of picked that up and has kind of made that their own. Obviously, Lincoln Riley's a passing attack kind of offensive minded guy, but they pushed around both sides of the ball, which was. And once again, as a defense lineman, it's frustrating as hell to see those guys, especially when we thought that Michigan's D-line was going to be, their strong suit and the people that they leaned on throughout the year. And it just wasn't their day. I don't know if it was the West Coast or the time change or whatever, but like you said, it just seemed like they didn't come to play. And I think that's what's most frustrating.
Yeah. I think to me, and answer me this as a defensive lineman. On the opening drive of the game, Wink was already rotating guys in on the defensive line. It might have been the second drive, but I believe it was the first drive. Like Dom Nichols is in, and he's already rotating guys in. When you've struggled early in games, like I want your best players on the field to set the tone. As a defensive lineman, are you cool with rotating guys in that early in the game? Do you want that rest, or kind of walk me through it?
Yeah, after about 5 or 6 plays as a starter, and you've gone through a couple first downs in the offense, it's time to get new guys in. Obviously, you want your best guys in, but like I said, Michigan's defensive line was supposed to be the position on the field that had the most depth throughout the season, the guys that you could rely on, the guys that you can rotate in and not skip a beat. The teams that I've been on that have been the most productive and the most successful have been the ones that have had or defensive linemen that have been able to rotate on a have two really 8 guys that could be considered starters. And it was, whether you're rotating or not, you got to be fresh. You got to be able to have that that gas in the tank, and to be able to sustain that for a full game. You have to rotate. You have to put guys in, but at the same time, those guys have to produce and be productive.
I want to talk about the Justice Haynes injury because I felt like it kind of changed the game. They were still in the football game completely, and then he goes down. This is not a knock on Jordan Marshall in any way, but it felt like a different team when you didn't have Justice Haynes in there. It didn't feel like you had that home run threat to be able to go and change the game. And once you fell behind, it there was just nothing that told me they were coming back. It just, and even when they were, they had a shot, I just felt like Justice Haynes' injury kind of changed the way that everything kind of flowed offensively. Did you get that sense too?
Yeah, and I think Sharon even addressed it in his presser, and he was like, our game plan was the same. And it's like, even if your game plan was the same, Jordan Marshall is not the same as Justice Haynes. Jordan Marshall's a good back,
Mm-hmm.
But I think back to 22 when Corm went down with I think it was a meniscus or whatever, when he was out for the season. And you look at Donovan Edwards, a totally different back than what Corm was. Corm was an every down back, could hit the the home run runs, but Donovan, it seemed like he was the only type of guy that could hit those home runs, and that was not all he could do, but that's what he was known for. And I think that really hurt them, and especially in that playoff game against TCU. But yeah, when Justice went down and he wasn't coming back in after halftime, you're like, okay, this is something that isn't just a little boo-boo. It's something that if this lingers for a few weeks and he's out for 1 or 2 games, Michigan's offense is going to look totally different. Now, Andrew Marsh coming on the last couple of weeks has been huge for Bryce and his development, but when Haynes can get you 4 or 5 yards of pop and can also hit that home run that we've seen the first 5-6 weeks of the season, that's huge too. And when he is not at 100%, or if he's out for a couple games, Michigan's going to need to step up, their players on both sides of the ball to kind of fill that void for what Haynes has been able to do.
Yeah, and Sharon said he thinks he's going to be fine. It's not like a long-term thing. He doesn't. But we also heard that last year with Will Johnson that it's not going to be a long-term thing, and then he never came back. So let's hope it's not the same scenario here. We're talking about Bryce and taking some of the pressure off him and the emergence of Andrew Marsh. But my question is where were the tight ends? Because between Marlon Klein and Hogan Hansen, who you're getting back, and you think, okay, it's great to have him back. There was 1 catch for 5 yards in that game from your 2 tight ends. And to me, not having that safety valve for Bryce to be able to just have that nice, easy throw once in a while, that's a glaring miss on this offense. It's a staple of this offense to be able to have the tight ends that you can, use once in a while. And they weren't there. Where in your mind did that go wrong?
I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you. Even when you have a guy like Tom Brady, who relied on Gronk for 10 plus years of his career, whenever you have that type of like you said, safety valve, whether you're a freshman or a rookie in the NFL or a savvy vet, you need that type of you need that safety blanket, that safety valve to get you 4 or 5 yards when you need it, get you that 3rd and 5 first down catch. And that just hasn't been the case since that first game of the season. Now, is Klein still hurt? I don't know, but Hogan Hansen's supposed to be healthy, and he still isn't producing like we thought they would. That tight end group as a whole, and that tight end room hasn't produced how we thought they would, especially after that first game. I'd love to get Jake's perspective on it, being a former tight end, but that is something that needs to change, especially if Haynes is out. Like you said, he should, hopefully he's back this week. But if Haynes is still not, playing for the next week or so, other people need to step up. Obviously, Marsh and McCulley have been kind of the other go-to guys, but we need somebody that can be that, 3rd down, get you 5 yards, get you a few yards, and help Bryce out.
For sure. 2 more things before we get to Jake Button. We'll get Jake here in just a moment. I don't want to be they lost because of the officials guy. I'm not going to do it. They were beat up. Like they were pushed around. and USC bullied them. That's not the reason they lost. But there were a few calls in that football game that were frustrating. The first USC touchdown, when the rules official gets on the broadcast and multiple times has to come in and correct the officials, that's an issue. And on the first touchdown, it was offensive pass interference, would have negated a touchdown. And it was directly the guy that caught the ball should have been offensive pass interference. Michigan was called for an OPI that was not OPI. It was a brutal call. I think it was on Marsh down the near sideline on the camera. Bad call. And then the non-called defensive pass interference on Bryce's interception. You're down 21-7. You're driving. You're gaining a little bit of momentum. And Donovan McCulley clearly gets spun around completely, and the ball gets intercepted. That's in the referee's view. I mean, that is directly where you're looking at the ball. That can't happen. It can't happen. And I hate to be the guy that says they lost because of the officials or whatever. Those are big game-changing calls, and it's got to be better. It's unacceptable in my mind.
Yeah, like you said, you never want to be that guy, but when there's 3 or 4 calls that are blatant and obvious, you start to think like, are we playing against, USC and the refs? And you never want to, we talked about putting that, the tinfoil hat on earlier in the season, but you never want to be that person that wants to, bitch and complain about what the refs are doing, right, and use that as your scapegoat. But those were big calls. It wasn't just like you missed a false start, you missed an offside, you missed like a little holding call in the middle of the field. Those were, drive defining and game defining calls that, in big time college football, it can't happen.
No, it can't. It was a very frustrating night, and I think it just gets exacerbated when you're getting beat up the way they were. All right, last thing before we get to Jake, who I know is waiting. I know right now there is, and this happens all the time when a team starts losing, and I think it gets furthered because other teams are making moves. Penn State fires James Franklin. Some other teams have started to make decisions, and it looks, it's going to go a certain way. I know there's a fire Sharon crowd out there. Obviously, we're not blind to it, so we have to at least address it. It's his second season as head coach. 2 years ago, a lot of players left for the NFL draft. I get it. I'm not in the fire Sharon crowd yet, but it's got to be better. I mean, this is the University of Michigan. You're getting paid a lot of money, and the world we live in now, with NIL, with boosters spending a lot of money for guys, they want results. And when you're at the University of Michigan, being 4-2 or being 12-7 as the head coach is not good enough. Sharon knows that. Sharon understands it. He gets it. But right now, it has to get better. And that's just the way it is. And I think he understands that. So I'm not in the fire Sharon crowd yet, but it has to get better for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, he knows that. He addressed it in his presser. My question is like, who's Michigan going to go get? Like, who do they get? Do you want James Franklin? I don't. Do you want like Nick Saban? Is Nick Saban going to leave his cushy job at College Game Day to come be the coach at Michigan? I'm going to say no. I think he's looking at.
Do you want my answer? I'll give you an answer if you want it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when it's fire Sharon, it's like, okay, who is Michigan going to get? And go ahead. I want to hear your take on this.
The same guy that everybody wants right now is Curt Cignetti. Like, that's the same guy everybody wants right now, and he is the poster child for everybody says, well, it takes time, all these things. Curt Cignetti didn't need time. He came in with a terrible roster, and he fixed it right away. So that would be my one argument. But again, it's Curt Cignetti. Why does he have to leave right now? Like, yeah, the resources of Michigan or the resources of Penn State, he doesn't have to leave right now. He's got a good job, a very low pressure job, to be fair, and he can win clearly. Like he can win. So that would be my argument, or at least my answer for you.
Yeah, but like you said, I don't think he's leaving. I don't think he wants to leave Bloomington. He seems like he's
still great,
very comfortable in his job, beating teams. Just beat Oregon in wherever the hell they play. I don't even know where they play. Somewhere in Oregon, in Eugene.
Yeah.
But back to Sharon, it's like I like Sharon. I like what he does. I think
I agree.
I don't want to blame Harbaugh, but when you look at what, when Harbaugh left, there was some speculation about, okay, is JJ coming back? He doesn't want to get a quarterback. He doesn't want to get a quarterback and, a big time recruit. So if JJ comes back, he's secure, all that stuff. Jim was thinking of coming back. There's like a lot of stuff that you don't think about on a daily basis, and not just what is happening right now and right here and now. It's, you got to look back a little bit. But to your point, yeah, Cignetti is, he's doing well the first 2 years. I'm in the camp. It's like, and Jake can tell you too, like when we were at Michigan with Brady Hoke, like it was bad. It was way worse than this. I know there's a lot of younger fans now in Michigan that didn't really watch Brady Hoke, and you want to take it back further to Rich Rod. It's like you can't put Sharon Moore in the same camp as Rich Rod and Brady Hoke. You just can't. No. And now in this, like you said, in the life of NIL, like people want results now, especially just in life in general. People want, they want their food delivered fast. They want their groceries delivered. They want everything to happen fast and happen now. I'm in the camp. It's like, I don't know. I'm going to be a Michigan fan for the next 6 years of my life. Like they're going to figure it out. The only team that, and we talked about this off air, like the only team that can reload on a regular basis is Ohio State. And I know that's our biggest rival every year, but
and they don't have a dip. That's
no.
I think that's the biggest frustration for people is that like when you're at Michigan, you're compared to Ohio State. That's just how it is. And when you see that they can lose 20 guys to the NFL draft and there's zero dip, there's no drop off, none of it. They win a national championship, guys leave. They come right back and they're the number one team in the country. That's the thing is when you're at Ohio State or you're at Michigan, you're compared to the other. And that's the thing. All right, let's bring Jake in. Jake Butt. There he is. Hi, Jake. How are you?
Hey guys, doing good. How are you?
Very good.
Enjoyed listening to you. There, break it down.
Yeah, there was some good, some bad. We're getting into this thing. Jake, obviously a two-time All-American at Michigan, BTN analyst. I don't think there's anybody rising in the media ranks right now faster than Jake Butt. Can you kind of describe what it's been like, your ascension to this point? Because it feels like you have taken off, and even Buckeye fans like seem to really like you right now.
Yeah, I know. I feel like honestly, sometimes I might be getting more compliments from Ohio State's camp than anybody else. So that's not something I expected. I did not expect to get into this industry. Like I didn't go to school for it. It's not something I really thought about when I was playing. But obviously, with the way my career ended so suddenly, I didn't have much time to really think or plan about the next step. And Isaiah Hole asked me to join his podcast that first fall. And I did that. From that, I got some opportunities to do some hits on Sirius XM. And then next thing you know, Michigan plays in the Orange Bowl that year. That's the bowl game I got injured in. So BTN invites me down there to do a hit. They say, hey, you want to join us at the desk? I said, yes. From that desk, they said, hey, you want to call the spring game next spring? I said, yes. And then they offered me a job. And like before I even really knew it, I was like, oh, well, I can make money doing this. Sounds awesome. It's just pretty much accelerated from there. I mean, my very first game was calling Michigan, Hawaii in the booth. And I got that same adrenaline like when I was playing. And, Worm, when you're done, when you retire, you're like, will I ever get that feeling again? And I got that exact same feeling in the booth. So I was like, let me lean into this. This is going to be fun.
Well, you're really damn good at it. Like that's the other thing is that like you get opportunities because you're really good at it. And like in this industry, there's some good, there's some bad. Like everybody, in the hot take world that we live in, you're good. Like you're very good at it, and I think that translates. It comes across. Go ahead, Worm. I'm done glazing.
I appreciate it.
That was absurd. Jesus Christ. Jeez. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, like, just picking off of that, like, where do you see your career going? Because like you look at like the top guys, like a Tony Romo who's just calling games. You got Herb Street who's everywhere, private jet on the Wednesday to Thursday night game to the Friday or Saturday game day to Saturday night game to whatever the hell else he's doing. Do you see yourself doing that? Do you see yourself being more like a Strahan and Burleson who are doing like, Good Morning America and the CBS morning news and then going and doing NFL game days? Like, where do you see your career going? Because for me and knowing you and knowing where you came from and seeing your trajectory, I think the sky's the limit for you. And it's been fun to watch you. So where do you kind of see your career going?
Yeah. To me, like, you never know. Who knows, like, what it'll look like 5 or 10 years from now, and who knows what media will even look like. Like, it's already changed even since I got in there. It's changing rapidly. When I think about it, though, like, I want to be I want to be in the booth, like, number one, and maybe I can do both. Like, that's what I'm doing right now. I do studio and games. Kirk does both. Joel Klatt does a little bit of both. But I love games. That's the thing that makes me tick. So like the ultimate goal would be to be a lead broadcaster of one of the major networks. And my ultimate goal would be to call Michigan, Ohio State one day. And, Kirk went to Ohio State and he called that game a number of times. And I know I could, be measured. Sometimes even Michigan fans are like, what are you doing complimenting the Buckeyes? But I mean, I say the same thing as what you guys are talking about there, which is like, you got to give them respect, for the way they run their program. I just try to be really honest and prepared about what I say. Like, obviously I love Michigan, but I'm just going to be honest about what I see and what I believe to be true. So that would be the goal for me right now. Is like, I would love to call Ohio State, Michigan as a lead broadcaster at a major network.
You're a Pick North guy, so you're from just outside of Columbus, and you went to the University of Michigan. You've told the story before, but like, how does that happen?
Yeah. Well, Worm, you're from Toledo, but there's a lot more Michigan fans there, right?
It's different. Yeah, it's 50-50.
Yeah, we're both Toledo guys. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you guys know the deal.
Yeah, we get it.
But I mean, being from Columbus, that's not the case. I mean, it is Buckeye fans everywhere. I grew up a Buckeye fan. Even like my best friend in elementary school was a Michigan fan, and we used to fight on the rivalries. I was fighting on the other side of this, which is just crazy. But as offers started coming in, Ohio State didn't offer me. Did you have an offer from Ohio State, Worm?
I did. I was close to going there, man. There was a guy by the name of Kenny Hayes who was a year older than me, and we were bookends. We were both defensive ends at Whitmer, and he committed to Ohio State. So we would go on recruiting trips, USC and Ohio State back in the day when they were playing those night games. And I was sold, man. And Jim Tressel was the man. Like I was in on Ohio State, and then he gets fired, and Luke Fickell and then Urban. But
were you a Michigan fan growing up though?
I would go to spring games. Okay. Yeah. But once recruiting started, you kind of have to put that to the side. Obviously you kind of have some bias, but you want to go to the best school with the best fit. And for a little bit, it was Ohio State. I love what Jim Tressel was doing and what that program was about.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think if Tressel was there, I would have had an offer because Tressel was all about like keeping talent in Ohio, but like Ohio State did not offer me. They like didn't want me. I felt really disrespected. Their director of recruiting was a guy by the name of Greg Gillum. And I went from kindergarten all the way through high school with Greg Gillum's sons. Like one was in the grade below me, one was above me. I played football and basketball with them. I think Gillum wanted to offer me. Urban Meyer, when I talked to him, because he's part of the Fox family now, he blames it on Gillum. I'm pretty sure it was Urban. I'm like 99% sure it was Urban and not Gillum. But they didn't offer me, and I'm so grateful. Like pretty soon I was like, all right, forget you guys. And the day I committed to Michigan, they tried to come in late and like say, hey, we want, and I'm like, no, that's not how this works. Absolutely not. So, and it worked out the best. Like I met my wife there. I can't picture a different journey. And of course, as a tight end, like you get so much more opportunity at Michigan as well.
So we saw that like JJ McCarthy had a very similar story where JJ he wanted to go to Ohio State. He thought that's where he was going. And then they recruited over him and he ends up going to Michigan and is bitter for his whole career. Very outwardly bitter his whole career. Were you that bitter? Like, were you every time you played against them? Did you hate them, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my freshman year when I was getting ready to play the 2013 game, it was the very like Monday practice or whenever it was. Brady Hoke would come up to me in warmups every day and whisper in my ear. He's like, "Remember, they didn't want you." In the off season during the workouts, I would have the strength coaches say the same thing to me. I mean, spite is a very good thing to have in the game of football. It is nice to play with the chip on your shoulder. So, yeah. I mean, certainly that was a big goal in my mind as I was like, I wanted to prove these guys wrong and I wanted to beat them. Fortunately, didn't get that part of it done, but it was a motivating factor for sure.
Go ahead, Worm.
Yeah. We were both captains in 2016 together. What do you remember from that year being a captain and having all those like legendary honorary captains? You talk about Hank Aaron, Rich Eisen, Michael Jordan was on our sideline as an honorary
Brady,
captain. Tom Brady came and spoke to us. Derek Jeter was there. So talk about what you remember that, because sometimes I forget and I'm like, oh, whoa, like, we had some dudes come and talk to us. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was like the theme of the early Harbaugh era. Like, you guys were just talking about Brady Hoke briefly. It was like dark times at Michigan in 2014 before Harbaugh came in, and it was like I could not wrap my head around it. It's like, this is not Michigan. This is not what I expected or wanted, or anyone wanted coming to Michigan. And then in comes Jim, and like immediately everything changed. Like the energy changed, the feeling changed. How we ran team meetings changed. And that was part of the magic with Jim, is like he wanted to make Michigan a respected brand again, putting us in Jordan, the first football team to be Jordan. Well, yeah, that's because we're the University of Michigan. Like and Jim could say that. And because he's Jim Harbaugh, it works. Bringing in those captains, like, hey, Michigan, we associate ourselves with greatness, the leaders and the best. Him doing the satellite camps, like really just stirring the pot and not caring, because, hey, we're Michigan. Like, we set the tempo. We are the initiators. So that's what I remember. I also remember how close our team was. Like, man, we had a lot of similarities to those teams that, won the Big Ten championship and won the national title. Like, in terms of, man, the culture of those teams really stood out. We were so close knit. Had so much talent, and just came up short on a few occasions.
Yeah.
Every week on here we ask for Harbaugh stories. I think Winovich told us about Harbaugh popping both his hamstrings.
That was Mo Hurst.
Oh, it was Mo Hurst told us about Harbaugh popping both of his hamstrings. Winovich told us a story about how Harbaugh laid on the ground and was looking up at a snap, right?
Like right center exchange. Yep.
Yeah. Grant Perry told us that Harbaugh came into a quarterback meeting late at night and made everybody slide in the quarterback meeting.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like the way they were sliding or whatever. Do you have a good Harbaugh story for us that you can share?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think Jim even like he led the way. Like, he was showing people in action of what a slide should look like. And he doesn't like the slides. He liked you to dive forward and get the extra yard. So there's Jim in his khaki and his cleats, putting it together real quick. One thing about this, a first Harbaugh story, is when Worm and I were captains, I just think about how different those teams were than our teams. Like, there was a healthy level of fear that people had. We were not friends with Jim. We weren't, and that came from a place of respect. And I think that's something that Sharon's missing right now. I think, it's good. You can be friends when you're an offensive line coach. You can be friends when you're a coordinator, but not as much. As a head coach, I think there needs to be more fear. So I just wanted to say that just as a little side note. Two stories come to mind. The very first game when we were on the road to play Utah, it was a night game, and Jim, even that was different. Like, he wanted us to sleep in and shorten the day, and then he didn't want us to sit in the hotel all day. So we went on a team walk, and Jim is walking in his cleats and khakis in his whole get up, but he's wearing cleats to walk around Utah. And we come upon this like holy Mormon church, like one of the more sacred places in the entire city. And Jim wanted to go in there to explore it, and opens the door, looks around, and walks in there with his cleats, clink, 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 like clinking his cleats into this like holy place where you should probably be walking around in your bare feet or clean socks or something. Jim goes into the church with his cleats. But the best story really is when we had training table at night. Our nutritionist at the time said that, you should be eating chicken and broccoli for every single meal. So even for breakfast during the mornings, you would have eggs, bacon, sausage, pancakes. And then at the end, there was chicken and broccoli. Every single meal, there was chicken and broccoli. So it was like one of the very first meals we were having since Jim had been hired. There's like 10 of us in the entire big cafeteria sitting down together eating. And then Jim walks in, and everybody's like a little bit nervous, and he goes over and he starts scooping up in his plate. He puts eggs on there, bacon on there. And then as he's going down, he notices the chicken and the broccoli, and we're all quiet and observing him because we just got here, and he's like studying the chicken, and he's like, what the hell's going on? So he walks over, and we're eating with the nutritionist, and he was like, chicken, huh? Chicken for breakfast. And like, yeah, he's like, that's the nervous bird, right? Like, yeah, he's like, he asked our nutritionist at that time to do a large scale study on the correlation between chicken consumption and mental health diseases in the United States, because he said chicken was the nervous bird. And we all like started to laugh, but then realized he was dead serious. So we all like caught ourselves real quick. I mean, that's just Jim, though. You know, it's like that is such an absurd thing to do. And yet it was made complete sense in Jim's mind to do that.
Well, steak and milk, right?
Yeah, right.
Steak and milk.
Steak and milk. Yeah.
He made Wilton like our starting quarterback in 2016, Wilton Spate. He would not let him eat chicken. Like it was.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah,
this.
I'm pretty sure like he would not let him eat. You gotta. I mean, you can text Wilton, but like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was the one that was like.
Doesn't surprise me.
He kind of let it slide, but like, if you're the quarterback, you can't be nervous. You can't have a nervous chicken in your body. You got to eat anything else but chicken. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, whatever Jim does works. And you know, Jake and I, we were with Hoke I was with him for 3, Jake was with him for 2. And like when Harbaugh came, we were looking for anything. Like we were looking for someone to come in, lead us, give us something that we could attach ourselves to. And Jim was that guy. I mean, he weeded a lot of guys out, and I've talked about it before on this show. He was looking to get guys out of there, and the guys that stayed, we gained his respect. But yeah, those first like 6-7 months before camp started were I was scared. I was scared.
Yeah. That first ever team meeting, like I'll never forget that first team meeting. Like when Brady was the head coach and he would walk into the doors in the team room, the door would swing open and Brady's like a jolly guy with his rosy red cheeks, and he would cheer, and then we'd cheer. We'd go, hey, you know, and he'd get us all fired up. We go, hey, we cheer. And then the first ever team meeting when Jim's there, we didn't know what to do, but we're all in there in the meeting room early. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone was nervous, and the door swings open, and we're like, everyone straightens up, and in walks Colonel Minnick, though. It wasn't Jim. And Colonel walks over, and he's like, hey, I know you guys, you know, used to cheer when Brady would walk in. He's like, yeah, we don't do that here. We cheer when we win. When Jim comes in here, we expect you to sit up straight and have your notepad out and be quiet, and then just left. And we're like, oh my God. Yeah, it's different.
Way different. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
My Brady Hoke story, actually. So the day that Brady Hoke got hired, I don't know if you guys remember this, but at the press conference, I asked him the question that spurred, this is Michigan, for God's sakes. So I pissed Brady Hoke off the first day he came in because on the drive up from Toledo to Ann Arbor, I said, Colin Cowherd was on the radio, and Hurd was talking about how Michigan's not an elite job anymore. Nobody wants his job, blah, 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 blah. So I said to Brady Hoke, I said, there are people out there that believe that Michigan isn't an elite job anymore. In your mind, why is Michigan still an elite job? And he goes, who said that? And I said, well, on the radio today, on the way up, I heard about, and he goes, well, God bless them, they're wrong. This is Michigan, for God's sakes. And he slams his hand on the table.
Good answer.
Like, yes, and that was, and now you see in Schembechler, there's a huge sign. Obviously, it says this is Michigan. And so Brady Hoke, that's my one.
You don't get a little NIL.
You're taking credit.
Yeah, do you get like a little percentage points?
I feel like I should. I have said for years I feel like I should. The best part of it is that after the press conference ends, Dave Abeloff, I went back to him. I said, hey, can I get Brady one-on-one? And I went up to him and I was like, hey, man, like, I didn't realize it. He goes, no, that was great. I appreciate you asking. That was awesome. That was a good moment. Yeah. So he was really cool afterwards. Yeah. But I think he wanted his press conference moment and he got it. So it was awesome.
He got it. Well, that's another point, though. Like this is why there's so much frustration right now, though, because it took so much to build the program back to a place of national respect. Like it took a lot in a long time, and a lot of failure, and of course, a lot of money. A lot of sacrifice, and it can quickly slip right through your hands. And it certainly feels like for a lot of people, at least I know that's where their emotions are coming from. They feel like it's slipping through their hands. And you are looking at Ohio State saying, you just lost both your coordinators, majority of your team, and you look better. How is that possible? Why? Because Michigan, it's not a resource thing. Michigan's spending as much as anybody. I look at the way the team took the field last week against USC, and I don't know if we're going to get into it or not, but
you're good.
I contrast that with how Indiana took the field against Oregon. Indiana takes the field against Oregon with an absolute certainty that they had the game plan that was going to lead them to victory. They were mentally prepared. Schematically, they out-schemed Oregon. Michigan takes the field against USC, and I can't say that that's what I saw. And certainly schematically, Lincoln Riley and his staff had the upper hand on Michigan all day long, and I didn't see any adjustments made defensively throughout the full game. And I just say we have to have a standard, right? Like, we have to have a standard. That's what stood out with Jim, is there was an unwavering standard. And if you weren't willing to at least try to meet it, there's the door. We'll show you to the door. And that was not a standard last weekend. That was an ass whooping. Reading articles that say USC, and the title is USC out physicals Michigan. USC imposes their will on Michigan. It can be unacceptable. I would have accepted if they
100%.
threw the ball, understand, because they got a great quarterback and great receivers. I could have understood that. But to have nearly 230 yards jammed right down your throat with a third string running back because their top two guys got hurt. It was a redshirt freshman right into the heart of Michigan's defense. So I'm venting a little bit, but
no, please do.
It's tying it all together because that's just unacceptable. It's just frankly unacceptable.
I said before you came on a little bit, to me, the most frustrating part was that it felt like Michigan got bullied. And on both lines, offensive line and defensive line, it felt like Michigan was pushed around. And to me, there is no chance that should happen against USC. None. Period.
Against anyone, really, because that's
anybody.
That is your identity.
Yes. That is who you are.
Hat on. Yeah.
Yes. That is the one thing that you do. And that's the one thing they've even when they struggled last year. That's the one thing that they went to Ohio State and they still were more physical than Ohio State. That's the one thing that can't lack, and it did. That's a frustrating thing to me that I took away from Saturday night.
Yeah, Worm. Do you feel?
I was letting you boys go. You guys are on one.
Well, I don't think it's a talent thing. Okay, here's another way to look at it. Do we have the high level talent of Ohio State right now? No, we don't. We don't have that. They have multiple NFL first rounders at multiple positions on both sides of the ball. Yep. We just don't have that this year. That's fine. But that's not what I'm asking here. I'm asking, again, I'll use Indiana as an example. Why is it that Indiana, if this is the maximum potential of their players, why is it that Cignetti has their players performing at this level every single week? What we're asking for is our players should be put in a situation where they play as close to the maximum potential every single week. And it's been an up and down season, even just starting there. They're not consistently, I don't see a consistent level of performance from them. I don't see a steady improvement. It's a roll of the dice of what to expect on both sides of the ball. Special teams is another one of Michigan hangs our hats on special teams. It's been atrocious. It's been and you can't just look the other way because this is something that slowly happens and then suddenly all at once it's like, oh my God, we're an eternity away from where we were. And right now we're at that crossroads where it's if we turn left, we're right back competing for titles. But if we turn right, what happens then? Well, I don't know.
That's a culture thing, right? That's a culture thing. That's a how do I get these guys, how to get these young men to do what we're saying, believe in what we're saying, trust in the coaches to put us in the right position, and then go make those plays. Because when you're sitting there and you're watching the film, or you're sitting there and you're just you're at training table talking damn, what's going on, guys? Let's try and figure this out. Like you said, you're at that crossroad between. And we saw that the last 3 weeks with Penn State. How are they going to? And I don't think it's as bad as Penn State. No. We're not at that crossroad yet. But when you get to that crossroad, when you get to that first fork in the road, you're like, hey, we're going to go either this way or that way, and we need to make sure that not just the coaches or not just the players are on board. Everybody has to get on board because that's just the way. That's like you said, the standard is winning games, imposing your will on people. And at this point it's going the other way, and you need to make sure that you're heading in the right direction to be successful, because that's what Michigan is about.
Yeah. I mean, that's again, man, expectations should match resource commitment, why James got fired this year from Penn State is because there's no more resources they could have given to James. James is hey, we need to compete with Ohio State. Okay, here's your $35 $5 million roster, James. Hey, we need better coaches. All right, we're going to give you the highest paid defensive coordinator in college football, James. Hey, he complained about, always having to play Michigan and Ohio State at 12 instead of being a night game. All right, cool. We'll give you Oregon at night, James. So the expectations all of a sudden, because we're giving you everything, are risen. And you fell short of those expectations. A change needs to be made. We have a $12 million quarterback. Wink is one of the highest paid defensive coordinators in college football. Mm-hmm. The offense has improved under Chip for sure. I mean, it has. But the offensive line, I don't know that the offensive line has improved.
No,
maybe they.
And that's your head coach's specialty.
Yeah, I think at times they've been worse, and I think at times they've been better. So then it's a consistency issue. So I'm setting my expectations based off of the amount of resources that have been committed towards the success of the University of Michigan football team, and we're right now no different than Washington or the middle of the pack of the. Yep. This is going to be a dogfight this weekend. Washington 100%. Is dangerous. I'm scared. I'm terrified of this game. And then we're right there in the middle of the pack, not with Ohio State, Oregon, or Indiana right now. We're not. We are not in that category.
And it's from being a national championship team, the fall off so quickly is I think the hardest part to take. Yeah. Because because finally we had waited for so long to feel the highest of the high. I was a Michigan fan. I was 12 years old when Michigan won it in 97. I remember it more than you guys do. I remember that night after the Rose Bowl, going out and banging pots and pans in my front yard. Like, I remembered what it was like, the highest of the high. To get back to that point 2 years ago and then to have the fall off again is beyond frustrating. And it's I don't know where you go from here right now. I think I don't want to panic too much because I do see the other side. I can see that there's, there are 2 5-star tackles waiting to play probably next year.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a 5-star running back coming in next year.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your superstar quarterback in place. You're going to spend money on wide receivers in the offseason. I don't want to panic too much because I can see it coming. I didn't think this was a national championship team. I didn't think you're going to win a national championship with a freshman quarterback. It's very hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they have struggled the way that they have, I did not see that part coming.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. And that what you just said though, I should feel better about.
Yes.
I should feel better than I do understanding that's the future. Because right now I don't know, like, I should feel better that, that everything's in place to take those players and that potential and that talent and get Michigan back to a national title. And I don't know if I can say that. When Jim came in again, I look at Jed Fish was our offensive coordinator. He's now a head coach. He's one of the bright minds in all of college football.
Yep.
Think about the team, the biggest success Michigan had. Mike McDonald was your defensive coordinator, head coach of the Seahawks. Jesse Minter is your defensive coordinator, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. Sharon was a rising. So do we have, I don't know. I do not know. I can't say yes. I can't say no, but is there people on our staff right now that are ascending in that direction? Because that's what it takes to win at the highest level. Ohio State has Matt Patricia. That dude's, you look at some of what they're doing schematically, it is brilliant. It is extremely impressive.
To be
Brian
fair,
Hart, go ahead. Yeah.
Matt Patricia also has freaks everywhere, and he's going to this is my one argument about Matt Patricia. And I going to say this and try to still give him kudos. Every single game that Matt Patricia goes to coach in, he's got better talent than the other team does every single week. No question about it. He's got Caleb Downs out there. He's got freaks everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing that I will say is, like, yes, I think he's very good. I think he's done a good job, but he also does have the built-in advantage that every single time he steps on the field, his talent is always going to be better, always, in every single game they play this year.
To that, I would agree with you, but I would also say to that, yes, but they are playing at a level it's almost unheard of. Like their red zone defense right now, it's like almost 2 years they're not.
Yep.
So they're not just saying, yes, we have the best players, and yes, we're going to be one of the best defenses. Yes, we have the best players, and we are clearly the best defense in college football. Clemson Clemson has a ton of NFL players on their defense right now. They bring in Tom Allen from. They're not doing it. Their players regressed. Their players have regressed.
Very fair. Very
so
fair.
That's what
I'm
you
like,
talk about, though. You know, like
yes.
Jake, you're talking about like those guys that are they're playing. The top talent is Ohio State, but also you have my hand. You have them playing where they should be playing. You're squeezing everything out, and when you can squeeze the juice out of the best players in the country, you're going to get something like Ohio State. No matter, honestly, you know, Patricia's kind of bounced around a little bit, but he's a good defensive mind.
It's worked.
It's worked, and it works, and it works. It seems like it works every year. But when you can get your guys who are the best at what they do in college, and you can get them playing to their maximum level, you get a thing like Ohio State where they produce every year. And the flip side is Clemson, and maybe even at Michigan now too. Like I don't think our talent is as high, but like we got to get more out of that. We got to get more out of the players we have.
It should just be like for Michigan, like we should. So I go back to Indiana again, and Bryant Haynes is their defensive coordinator. Mike Shanahan's their offensive coordinator. Indiana gave Cignetti $11 million for his support staff. It's like I think it's top 5 most. And the reason why is because their staff was so good that there was a bidding war to take from them. Okay. That's what it should be like at Michigan. You should have for Michigan, you should be turning away good coaches. You bring in the 5 best and turn 4 away and say, sorry, we're Michigan. We can only take 1. I don't know. Like, is that the approach?
Yeah. And it's not unreasonable in any way. One other thing I wanted to ask you about specifically, and we brought this up earlier, in the game at USC, Michigan's tight ends, 1 catch for 5 yards. Where was the disconnect in the quick passing game, at least to give Bryce a chance to have some success? Or am I completely off on this?
No, not at all. I've been wondering it too. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think Marlon Klein is not 100%. Hogan Hansen is not 100%. So both those guys are like, you know, operating somewhere between 60 and 90% healthy on any given week, each one. I also think, you know, you look at our offense and it kind of just tells you who we are offensively. Like when McCauley and Andrew Marsh had a good game against Wisconsin, it like blew everybody's mind. It's like, whoa, we have two receivers both going for more than 80 yards. It's like that's just really like who we are offensively. It's just where we're at right now. So I don't have a clear and concise answer. I think we have a young quarterback and you're trying to make things as simple as possible for him. And it may just be that of like, hey, like our goal this week was to get Andrew Marsh involved and give him more impactful targets. And he responded. Obviously Donovan McCauley is going to get the most targets every single week. But of course, I believe it should be McCauley, Marsh, and then Klein and or Hansen as your top 3 pass catchers. And if he throws the ball 25 times, 17 or 18 of the targets, those throws should go to that trio.
100%.
Does it feel like there's an identity crisis then? Like, because you want to be Michigan and you want to run the football and you want to prove to the teams, you know, that you're still Michigan and you've got Justice Haynes and you've got Jordan Marshall who can run the football. But it's like, okay, well, I still have, you know, I definitely want to show that I have my $12 million quarterback. And then somebody brings up, oh, well, Bryce isn't running enough. So then Biff comes out and says, oh, well, we inserted more Bryce runs in. And then this past week, there's none of it. To me, it's like, okay, then what is the identity of this offense? Because when Michigan was winning back-to-back Big Ten championships, we knew what the identity was. Right now, I don't know what the identity of this Michigan offense is. I just don't.
Yeah, I think, I mean, to me, they have a much clearer identity than last year. Like, I think they're
that bar's low.
Yeah, that bar, right. It's almost like not even worth saying. But, you know, it is, that's how bad it was last year. And like this year, I do think they're a run first team. They like gap scheme. They want to, you know, emphasize the run heavily. But I think it's a mixture of the offensive line from a talent standpoint. That's not a Joe Moore offensive line. It's just not.
You're right.
It's just not. Just like, and they were consistently those 3 years when they won. It was a Joe Moore Award offensive line every single year. I do think the offense just would shoot themselves in the foot. The Oklahoma game was so telling, where it's like that was an identity crisis, where you are. Most teams have an RPO. If you're facing zero pressure on 3rd and 6, you should not hand the ball off into a wall of defenders. You should pull it and throw the screen on the outside, like what USC was doing to us when we brought pressure. Throw into the attack the weak point of the defense should always be your identity. Always attack the weak point. And then if all else is equal, run the ball because you're Michigan. That to me is the identity crisis right now. Is I don't think we're consistently attacking the weakest point of the opposing defenses. And I question if we may even have the capability to do that on a consistent basis right now, frankly.
I mean, Underwood, I feel like they're trying to, like you said, appease this $12 million quarterback. They got to get him some throws. They got to. And talking about the identity crisis, like they're trying to run the ball, but also they got to throw the ball to make sure that quarterback sticks around for another couple of years. You know, I think there's that, but then also, like you said, the offensive line struggled mightily. It's like, you know, Jordan, maybe that identity crisis is true. It feels like they're seeing what sticks, throwing shit to the wall and seeing what sticks. And at the same time, like you got to kind of be Michigan and run the ball. But then, like, okay, if this quarterback's not getting the touches that he needs, like, what does that look like a year or two from now? You know, it's something that needs to be addressed quickly, I think.
It's complicated, man, because unfortunately, it's not like they're one piece away. They're really not. And it's like so far away that you wonder, do they need a new scheme? I mean, certainly they need better players at the receiver position. Is it just a new wrinkle here or there that would be the answer? That's what's really complex. You know, Bryce has gotten better. I think they've done a good job. I think all things considered, they've done a good job of setting him up for success. You know, this guy's a true freshman and he's carrying a heavy workload because of the expectations, and certainly he's not surrounded with great talent on the outside. He's just not. So that's got to be the number one priority this offseason is, hey, man, it's a race against time. You got to surround this kid. Look at what Nebraska did with Dylan Raiola. Like they surrounded that. They upgraded their wide receiver room through the portal, and now Dylan Raiola has been balling and making plays in the biggest moments. You know, that's what Michigan needs to do. But the offensive line needs to improve. It's just across the board.
And that, you know, that's what I brought up earlier is like, I think like next year, if Ty Haywood is your right tackle and Andrew Babalola is the left tackle, I think your offensive line is instantly better. If you've got 2 5-star tackles, the offensive line.
What year is Evan Link?
I'd have to look it up right now.
Let me look it up.
I don't have it.
I agree with you. And then Evan Link is a guard that's been forced to play tackle, in my opinion. You know?
So hopefully he can move inside next year, let those more natural tackles take over.
Let's see.
Give Bryce a little extra time.
He's a junior. He's a junior.
Okay. Now, now, all right. I like this. All right.
So then you can push Evan Link inside. I mean, it just feels like, you know, that's kind of where they were that's where they're thinking about going. And then Babalola obviously tears the ACL. That's an issue. And Ty Haywood's going to be a superstar. It looks like at right tackle. I mean, when he got in the game, week 2 or whatever it was, looked good.
Yeah. Hey, Sprague played a good game too. I mean, Sprague played good. Guarnera has done some nice things this year.
Yeah.
He has.
Yeah,
I've even liked some of the stuff Blake Frazier has done. Okay, you know what? They got a lot of youth. They do have a lot of youth.
Yes,
I think that's why I am a little more. I'm not. I'm a little more patient than some people on Twitter with their Twitter fingers, Jordan. Because like I
wasn't firing anybody, for God's sakes. I just said they were unprepared.
Yeah, there's a lot of youth. There's a lot of talent in the next year or two. I'm excited for that. Obviously, like we said, this isn't a national championship team. This isn't a team that's gonna, you know, I think they could still, you know, compete against Ohio State. That game is always up in the air. But these next year, the year after that, I think if things aren't getting better, then there's some conversations that need to be had. But the talent that's there, the young talent that's there is very promising.
How important is this game this weekend for you, though, with that in mind? Because I feel like this game is huge. Just like so
it's
important.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot
I mean-
still riding. They could win the Big Ten championship still if they win out and go to the Big Ten championship, beat Ohio State, all that stuff. But yeah, this game is huge. Not only like Jed Fish used to coach here, and I know he might have wanted this Michigan job a few years ago, but Washington's a good team. They're unranked. They're coming to the big house.
Should be ranked.
They should be ranked.
They should be for sure,
definitely be
100%,
ranked.
100%.
Yeah.
But Michigan going 5-2 versus 4-3 is
Huge.
night and day. It is
Yeah.
absolutely night and day. So this is a must win. I
Yep.
think this is a must win for the Wolverines this week.
Have you seen what their quarterback looks like though? This is the most dangerous quarterback they've played.
More dangerous than Mateer?
Yeah. I would say so. I would say so.
This kid's a better thrower of the football, I think.
Better thrower, and he's much faster.
Yes.
Oklahoma as a team is a better overall team. Mateer benefits from that. This guy had 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and then he ran for 136 in another
And
2
2 more.
touchdowns last week against Rutgers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean that is Rutgers,
Dangerous.
but that 500 plus yards as a guy is something not to take lightly. That's crazy.
They got good
Michigan
receivers.
Yeah, and Michigan certainly has their hands full, and I think what you guys are saying is exactly right. The trajectory of this season is kind of on the line. I mean, you go 4-3, and there's people start questioning everything as you're walking through the halls, and it can get real ugly. It can get real ugly here, real fast if you don't go out and play a really good football game on Saturday. Jake, this was really fun, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. It's good to hang out.
Yeah,
Jake,
this is.
Yep.
Go ahead, Worm.
Yeah, no. Before we hop off, Jake, tell everyone what we got going on. Thursday night on campus.
Oh yeah, shoot. Is this the first announcement, Worm?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's floating around a little bit, but yeah,
Okay.
tell everyone what we're doing on Thursday. It should be fun.
Basically doing this.
Yeah.
Live in person Thursday night at the Fiji frat house.
It's a frat house. Yeah,
I think it is. Yeah. So I don't know what to expect there. But we're going to be talking ball, answering questions, hanging out, signing autographs. Fiji frat house, 5 p.m. I think doors open. 6:30 is when the show starts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
hanging out.
1001 Oakland. So right on campus.
Cool.
Frat house. Should be a good time. But yeah, it should be fun. Appreciate you having me.
Just doing this again too. I mean, I don't know. It'll be nice to get like questions in real time from people too.
Yeah.
Like, for everyone that's hanging out and for you guys that are watching, come pull up and ask some questions. There's probably stuff we don't even think about. So it'll be helpful to get some of these questions.
Chris Wormley doing keg stands at a frat house in 2025. This will be great.
No.
I'll hold you up, Worm.
I would say you're gonna need
keg stands, but you got it.
You're gonna need a couple. You're gonna need a couple big fellas to hold Worm up.
I left that on campus about 12 years ago. So we're
all right,
That's
Jake.
Smart. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll
sir.
see you
Thanks,
Thursday.
All right,
that was fantastic.
That was good stuff. Like I was looking at the time and I'm like, oh damn, we're going a while here, but it was all good stuff, and I wasn't going to stop it because it felt like it was really, really good stuff. So
yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Jake, I mean, obviously, like we said, Jake's one of the best young talents. I think in the next 5-10 years, he's going to be he's going to be one of those guys that is going to be on TV for 40 years doing the same thing and continuing to put people to shame when it comes to his analyzing of the game of football and the way he can project it to people. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's wrap this thing up. Home against Washington. It's a noon kick on Fox. I did mention this. Washington somehow is unranked. Their only loss was the 24-6 loss against Ohio State at home. They have given Ohio State by far the toughest test that they faced all year. As Jake mentioned, the quarterback, Damon Williams, 402 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 136 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns against Rutgers last week. This is a good Washington football team. If Michigan doesn't show up, they will get beat on Saturday. But let's hope that they have turned the page. One thing we didn't address today, Sharon showed up at the press conference wearing the blue collar shirt today.
Yep.
How did you feel about it? I know there's some people that weren't real thrilled about it, kind of call it gimmicky or whatever, but like, I mean, sometimes you got to send a message and maybe that imagery works. I don't know how the mind of a college kid's going to work, but I mean, they have to get back to being Michigan this week.
They got to bring their lunch pail, man. They got to get back to that blue collar work, that blue collar grind, because this is a, I wouldn't say do or die, but like this is going to make or break your season. If you go 4-3 versus 5-2, 5-2 looks pretty good still. You got a lot you can look forward to over the next 5-6 weeks. 4-3, it's like, all right, let's just let's try and end this season on a decently high note. But you got to go back to work. You got to set that tone. And I think that's going to be the message all week. It has to be the message all week. It has to be, let's get back to basics. Let's get back to work. Let's be the team that we know that we can be and that we've shown flashes of. Obviously they've been against, lesser opponents, but we got to get to a point where we can keep the game close, score when we need to. Our defense has to make plays and keep the offense in the game if the offense is going to continue to struggle a little bit. But we as Michigan have to come out and dominate this game. We're back at home. We always play better at home, especially this season.
Yep.
And we gotta make a statement. A lot of people are gonna be watching this game. I know Washington's looking to make a statement. I know Jed Fish coming back to the big house is looking to make a statement and become ranked. They're going to be 6-1 if they win this game.
Yep.
Michigan's looking to get crack the top 25 again and be 5-2. There's a lot riding on this game for the program, the coaches, and the players.
For sure. It should be a really good one. Noon on Fox coming up Saturday at home against Washington. Worm, this was really fun. Let's do it again next week.
Well, I'll be here. I'll hope to see you soon.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks to Jake Buff for joining us. This was great. Tell your friends, subscribe, like, download, do all the things on the social medias and share this, and tell your friends as well. We will see you back here next week for Stadium in Maine with Big Worm and Strack.
Go Blue.